new. The gaze became compulsion. The act of seeing was no longer choice, but command. Reality had become the prisoner. Don't you dare to look away. Days lost all form. Sleep became meaningless. Some still stared, though their vision no longer focused. Others looked away, surrendering to whatever waited beyond the glass. Altera stopped answering. No signals, no calls, only the soft hum of life support and the pale reflection of faces that no longer seemed alive. Silence claimed the spaces where voices once lingered. The watchers no longer recognized what they observed. Thoughts, once their own, bled into darkness, pulled towards something vast, patient, eternal. And somewhere beyond the glass, Ozar waited, not moving, not sleeping, only consuming.
Unindexed log entry. Secured. Offline storage. Dr. Georgios Stavros.
It was shortly after the impulse event. I woke up. Mira wasn't in the room, presumably in the hygiene module. The time was indeterminate, but the station's lights were still in night cycle. I felt no immediate concern. She often took longer showers than I did. I was hungry. I hadn't eaten much since the scan disruptions earlier, and if Mira was also awake, perhaps she'd want something too. It seemed like a quiet, harmless way to spend a few minutes, just something small before we returned to sleep. I took the lift down to level 1. As the doors opened, I looked out directly across from the elevator shaft, stood Mira's office, positioned as always behind its transparent panel. The interior lights were dim, but unmistakably on. Mira was inside. She was seated at her desk, posture relaxed, chin resting on one hand. She looked up at me the moment the doors opened and smiled. The kind of smile you use when you're asking for a small favor. Then she lifted her fingers and gave a light, beckoning wave. A familiar gesture. "Come here a moment." I took 2 steps forward. Something grabbed my arm from behind. Fingers closed tightly around my forearm and yanked me sideways into the kitchen module. I nearly lost my balance. I turned to confront the source. It was Mira. Her expression was not calm. There was no smile. Her pupils were dilated, her breath shallow but controlled, and her voice, when she spoke, was measured, quiet, and completely unlike the wave and smile I had just seen.
I see her too.
I didn't move. My body halted on instinct, not from fear, not directly, but from the precise kind of alertness that comes when something is clearly, impossibly wrong. Her grip on my arm did not loosen. She was focused, not panicked, but something in her eyes was fixed, intense, as if she couldn't afford to blink too long. She didn't look back toward the office. We returned to the lift, together. The doors were still open. As we passed the glass panel to her office, I looked. I don't know why. Curiosity, defiance, or simply a need to verify what the rest of me refused to accept. There was no one inside. The room was empty. The lights were still on, just as before. But the desk chair was pushed in. Her workstation was dark. She never looked. Her eyes remained downcast, locked on the floor in front of her. She was still gripping my arm. I initiated a Level 1 station scan. No anomalies detected. Station Al reported no foreign biosignatures. Thermal logs showed no unexpected readings. Camera systems recorded nothing unusual. No signs of entry, no evidence of another presence, but we both saw her. Identically. The same posture, the same expression, the same gesture. At the same time. Was it a dream? If it was one we shared. Was it stress? Some neurochemical distortion triggered by isolation? This far beneath the surface, in silence, without sky? I don't know. There is no explanation. No incident report, no conclusions. And no reason to speak of it further. Not now. I am storing this entry in an isolated location, off the central log system. It is important that it exists, but not important that it be seen. Not unless it happens again.
Routine. Day 172 on Venth, Orbital Array Space Station. Another ordinary day aboard the research station orbiting planet 4546b. Venth serves as a transfer hub for incoming Altera spacecraft. Crews disembark and are teleported to the planet's arrival center after a short layover. It's also a junction point connecting Altera HQ, Titan's Wall, Black Star Station, and a string of smaller research facilities. Maintenance logs, measurement data, shift handovers. The atmosphere is relaxed, especially on the bridge, which has evolved from command center into something more akin to a lounge. The hum of life support systems and soft chatter fill the background, barely noticeable beneath the steady blinking of monitors. Outside, the endless blackness of space stretches in every direction, dotted with distant stars like tiny, silent beacons. For now, all is quiet, routine, and predictably safe. Space is calm. Everything seems under control. 0341 UTC. Automated breach alert. Station. Nighttime. A piercing alarm wails throughout the station, echoing down every corridor with an urgent, chilling urgency. Emergency power kicks in, bathing the hallways in an eerie red glow. The system reports a hull breach. Emergency protocols activate instantly, lights flashing and locks clicking shut. Crew members are jolted awake, heartbeats racing as vacuum seals hiss and engage with a mechanical hum. The station's AI repeats the same phrase again and again, robotic and unyielding. Then, Silence. The lights return to their usual steady glow. No more alarms. Only after a second manual request does the AI respond as
All systems functional. No incidents detected.
But it was her who triggered the alert. Strange. A thorough systems check reveals nothing. No damage, no breach, no errors. Sensors show nothing. Cameras show nothing. Just a glitch, maybe. These things happen in a complex station orbiting a distant world. I'd rubbing my eyes. I just wish I'd gotten more sleep. Next day, everyone is tired. A new group of scientists has been successfully teleported to the planet. No issues. The crew now has some free time, and most of us gather on the bridge. The mood is light. Laughter, small talk, the usual banter. Then I notice a crewmate staring intensely out the window. I tease, "You mad your mom was in that joke earlier?" No response. His gaze doesn't shift. So I look. A small, nearly spherical object, barely rotating, drifts beyond the station. It's dark. The core pulses irregularly, unsettlingly. The station's systems register nothing. No signal, no energy reading. We only see it. The AI confirms.
No anomaly detected.
It doesn't see. A German crew member gives it a name. Ozar. Optisch zentralisiert irregulares Rahmenphänomen. We all feel an uneasy silence settle over the bridge, as eyes remain fixed on this silent enigma. Same day, there were 23 of us on the bridge, all eyes fixated on Ozar. Eventually, fatigue set in. We agreed on shifts, 4 crew members to monitor the object, while the rest attempted to rest. As we turned to leave, a flash of light, a deep, resonating hum vibrated through our chests, low, dense, almost alive. It came from nowhere, yet every panel seemed to carry it, trembling like the ship itself was breathing. Only in the corner of our vision, just a shimmer, a reflection crawling across the polished steel walls. When we turned to look directly, it stopped, instantly. No trace, no source. The AI registered no disturbance, no alerts, no anomaly. Another glitch? Unclear. Ozar's behavior now demands constant visual observation. Every eye becomes a sensor, every blink a risk. Whispers ripple through the crew, a mix of curiosity, exhaustion, and something colder. No one wants to admit how strongly it feels that something is watching us back. The tension is palpable, thick in the recycled air. Even the hum of the ventilation sounds cautious now, as if the ship itself understands. No one dares to speak too loudly, as if words could draw its attention, as if the silence is the only thing keeping us safe. Every second stretches longer. Each heartbeat echoes through the hull, a slow, rhythmic reminder that we are not alone in the void. We called it Crew Observations, a harmless title for something that never felt harmless. When watched continuously, the object remained still, always the same, slowly turning, a dim light pulsing in its core, steady as a heartbeat that didn't belong to anything alive. We convinced ourselves that meant control, that our gaze somehow anchored it. But the moment no one looked, the instant attention wavered, it changed. Not movement, not in the way we understand it. It distorted. The air trembled, space folded in on itself, and the sensor screamed before going silent again. Only then did the system acknowledge Ozar's presence. In that unobserved state, the AI recorded impossible readings, fractures in local space-time, structural warping like pressure on the skin of the universe itself. Thin filaments sometimes stretched from the object, branching out in every direction, silver threads reaching through the void like the limbs of something vast, something searching. They shimmered faintly before withdrawing, as though tasting reality. It reminded me of the double-slit experiment, how observation shapes what is. Only now it wasn't theory, it was happening in front of us. Ozar didn't just react to sight, it responded to consciousness. Around the main observation window, the air would ripple, barely visible, like heat distortion. But it was cold, colder than anything should be. The walls vibrated, metal humming under some unseen pressure. Even the light bent wrong, uncertain, like it too had started to doubt the laws that guided it. The others stopped talking much. Communication turned to nods, to silent acknowledgements, to avoiding each other's eyes. Words felt dangerous, as if language itself might wake something. We placed a single chair before the observation glass. One person, always watching, never blinking for too long. Shifts continued without pause. And still, Ozar turned, slowly, patiently, as if waiting for the moment we dared to look away.
Expansion beyond sensor capacity. 12 days have passed. The crew is exhausted. Staring at one point for hours at a time drains us all. Those not observing can't sleep, too scared the watcher might doze off. The AI responds with increasing delay. Despite our vigilance, distortions intensify. Where a direct gaze once sufficed, now even a blink allows Ozar to shift, just barely. It does not approach, it extends, digitally and physically. Its filaments now reach as far as planet 4546b. Cameras catch only fragments. Infrared spikes erratically. A faint, immeasurable static infects all communications. The system now registers Ozar continuously. It exists on the threshold, not quite matter, not quite concept. Some of us whisper that it might be learning, adapting to our presence, probing for weaknesses. Others refuse to speak, afraid words might give it form. The psychological toll is mounting. Paranoia threads its way through even the most rational minds. Still, no one dares look away.
Degradation of routine. Science, communication with the planet, secondary now. The station exists only to observe. Sleep patterns fracture, caloric intake plummets. One crew member begins hallucinating. Another whispers that Ozar is watching her. A colleague stops speaking entirely.
He spends hours in the transit lounge with a photo of his daughter. He no longer joins the shifts. 7 others cleared the entire bridge. We need space to think, they say. The room is empty now, save for the solitary chair in the center. The AI repeatedly flags abnormal human behavior, but the protocol stands. Keep watching. Fear seeps into every conversation, unspoken yet palpable. Doubts about what Ozar truly is begin to fracture the crew's unity. Questions linger silently about who is really in control and how much choice they have left. The silence of the empty bridge presses down, heavier than any alarm. Outside, the dark void seems to inch closer, cold and indifferent to the fragile minds inside. Now, it's only my chair. The final rotation. Only one crew member remains awake as far as I know. The others have collapsed, mentally or physically, or they've simply stopped trying. That last crew member on the chair is me. When you stare at an unchanging image for long enough, you can't tell whether you blinked or blacked out. But this time, I didn't just blink. I asked the AI to replay surveillance footage of my station and Titan's wall during my unconsciousness. I had slept for 142 seconds. In that time, Ozar distorted. A blinding beam or something emitted from it, striking the planet. Titan's wall is now empty. Not destroyed, but ancient, like a ruin forgotten by centuries. Not decayed by the beam, but neglected by time. I can't go on without sleep. The line between reality and illusion blurs as exhaustion claws deeper. Every shadow seems to twitch with unseen movement. Every silence heavy with meaning. I feel the weight of countless eyes, unblinking, endless, pressing in. The station no longer feels like a sanctuary, but a cage with Ozar at its heart. Some time later, I can't tell if time has passed at all. Days, hours, minutes, it all feels the same. My eyes are bloodshot. The last of the eye drops are gone. I no longer look at it. It changes nothing. This isn't a fight I can win. I sit on the floor in front of a monitor I brought from the storage and set it up on the bridge. The camera is angled to show me in the object behind the window. Even when I look away, it no longer pulses. Not much. I haven't heard or seen any of the others in days. The feed shows Ozar closer now, closer to the station, closer to the glass, closer to me. It feels different now, gentler, a flickering white distortion. It pulses softly through the window. Its sharp point hovers directly behind me, like a hand resting on my shoulder. I don't look. I feel it. No heat, no chill, just presence. And I keep watching the screen. The hum is almost soothing now, like a breath the station forgot it was holding. All station lights are off. The room is dark and pitch black. I no longer flinch when the distortions occur. Somewhere deep in the code, the AI stopped logging entries 3 hours ago. That feels appropriate.
System log. Signal lost. End of transmission. All systems running in minimum power mode. Data successfully transmitted to Altera. New directive. AI to begin autonomous analysis. Maintain contact only with Altera. No responses to planetary bases or external entities. Archive access failed. Station status sealed. OZIR status unknown. Last human log entry. We weren't observing it. It was observing us. End of log.
Our love is away from home, and I'm left all alone. I got lost in the dark when I was thinking of you. Some never understood you, but I loved your behavior. Some never understood you, but I loved your behavior.
He had been staring at the monitors for hours, waiting for the pulse to return, but nothing happened. The Black Star had archived the incident as a possible malfunction, a ghost in the system. No priority. Life went on, or at least it pretended to. Mira spent the day in the lab, lost in a new sample she'd brought back from Trench Line 9. Something branching like a fungus, yet pulsing softly, almost alive. The tissue was light-sensitive, semi-transparent, contracting gently under the right spectrum as if it were breathing.
Lung coral.
She called it, though it was neither coral nor plant. He had programmed a modulated light matrix for her, letting her influence the pulse like a quote. She was trying to create a pattern, a dialogue with something that had no brain, but perhaps a structure. She didn't notice him standing there until she whispered, almost to herself,
Look, almost like a heartbeat, right?
He stepped closer.
Yes.
It flickered, rhythmic, warm.
It's amazing what you're doing.
He said. She smiled without turning. He stayed a little longer, watching the light move like breath under her hands, and felt at ease. Her work never ceased to amaze him. That night they sat side by side, each wrapped in their own world. He was buried deep in protocols when he heard the quiet crack of her chair and flinched before he could stop himself. Mira, still analyzing image data, looked up and smiled mischievously.
What was that? You flinched.
He exhaled, still startled.
Your chair. I didn't expect it. I was too focused.
She laughed quietly, turning halfway toward him, her eyes sparkling.
Huh. Scaredy cat.
The words were teasing, but her smile was soft, warmer than the sound. She turned back to her work, but he caught the way her expression shifted, as if it mattered to her that he felt safe. He drew a slow breath, feeling a quiet comfort flow into the space between them. This small game, this silent understanding, was its own language. Amid the low hum of the bass, with her laughter still in his ears, he felt at home for the first time. And with her smile, playful and tender, he knew here was where he belonged. Sometimes at night, doubt crept in, uninvited. He wondered if he was really the man Mira needed. The questions chewed at him. Why him? What made him special? Why she had chosen to stay close? He dissected memories, gestures, glances, searching for a pattern that logic might explain. But there was no clean answer. Others had always treated him as different, his way of thinking too intense, too strange. Neurodivergence wasn't an illness, but a variation, a different way of feeling the world. Yet often it left him outside looking in, but not with Mira. She saw him as he was. He never spoke these doubts aloud, not because he didn't want to, but because words sometimes felt too heavy, too risky, as if they might disturb the fragile bridge between them. She seemed unaware of his insecurities, calm, strong, steady. Their bond was deep, genuine, something most never knew. It gave him support. It made him happy. Even when he didn't understand himself, he knew this bond was the most precious thing he had. And maybe that was enough. The next morning, before Mira left for the field mission, she surprised him. Without a word, she pulled him into a long, tight embrace. The hum of the station faded until there was only her warmth. When she pulled back, her voice dropped to a whisper.
See you later, handsome.
His heart stumbled, caught off guard by the softness of it. Inside, he wanted to reply, to tell her everything he never managed to say. I love you. But the words stayed locked away, fragile, and he let the silence hold them for him. Outside, she shared her plan. The southern cliff by Titan's wall, tangled biomass thriving in the wild. She grinned at him as she put on her helmet.
I'll try to catch the little creatures before they catch me.
He smirked back.
Watch out, don't shake their hands. You never know what they might carry.
Her laughter spilled out, light and genuine. The first real laugh he'd heard from her that day.
When it gets too quiet out there,
He added,
it usually means something unknown is waiting.
She glanced at him with a playful sparkle.
All right, Mr. Mystery.
She called him.
Okay, then maybe today I'll stick to the statistics.
He answered. That exchange, simple, teasing, was more than just words. It was a thread tying them close, even as she stepped out into the unknown.
Beneath the veil, the water's haze, a timeless roam, a sunless maze. Fingers trace the ocean's skin, pulling me further deep within. Faint reflections, distant cries, a fleeting glimpse on earthly eyes. Currents whisper songs unknown, in this stillness I'm alone. Far below where silence feeds, where darkness plants its ghostly seeds. Through the tide where shadows drift, the abyss takes all the solemn gift. Mirrored scales, the gleam of teeth, a kingdom ruled by what's beneath. Spirals twist in endless descent, each breath a fleeting testament.
Post-events log, Iris Core AI. The following report has been compiled and synthesized from all available data, captured before, during, and after the vanishing event, and reflects the AI's analysis of observed phenomena and human behavior within the station, based on all recorded logs, transmissions, and conversations of personnel, which have been systematically archived and consolidated for this report.
Phase 3, the compromise, saw the emergence of the Iris core sector, which served as a neutral interface bridging the primitive and futuristic components of the hangar. The semi-autonomous AI, Iris, assumed a central role in balancing the tactical experience of veteran personnel with the forward-looking innovations of technocratic designers. Integration was challenging from the outset. Repeated malfunctions occurred, most notably a catastrophic waterlock failure that flooded crew quarters, resulting in 3 fatalities, 5 missing personnel, and multiple disciplinary actions. Since then, direct communication with Iris has been deliberately avoided.
Vanished Crew Theory 1, Leviathan-induced displacement via the Silence Leviathan emerged when low-frequency audio signatures were detected days before the sudden communication blackout. These signals caused widespread disorientation among the biological crew and led to malfunctions in Neuralink devices, including Iris. While evacuation may have been necessary, no evidence exists to confirm any procedures. No escape logs, no vehicles launched, and no biological traces remain. The possibility remains that Titan's Wall was either evacuated under imminent Leviathan threat or never evacuated at all, symbolizing the quiet decline of the project.
Theory 3, gravitational anomaly or the void event, occurred shortly before the blackout, when an unexplained energy pulse was registered near the old Cyclops dock. This singular event resembled a temporally distorted space-time fold, detectable only once before being deactivated. Some speculate the pulse could have caused a microshift in space-time, potentially triggered by Iris or a Leviathan species, suggesting that Titan's Wall may have been displaced into another dimension or alternate reality, leaving no physical traces behind. This incident is referred to as the vanishing event, highlighting the uncertainty of whether the station was destroyed or simply removed from perception.
The Vanished Crew Theory 3, Iris Protocol 0, the final command, appears in internal logs from the AI's last monitoring protocols. A final autonomous command was executed, the content of which was deleted. Immediately following this command, all mechanical systems experienced a precise 1-second inactivity before rebooting. Access to Iris archives remained blocked, while the AI remained active and the station was left empty. It is unclear whether Iris assumed control during this event or if an external factor depopulated the station. The AI's continued activity without archive access implies it retains knowledge beyond what is currently accessible.
The significance of the vanishing event lies in its simultaneous impact on the physical and mental reality of Titan's Wall. Whether through Leviathan interaction or manipulation of space-time by Iris, the result was the same. The station disappeared from conventional existence. Although no physical remains were observed, Titan's Wall endures as a haunting relic of prior operations. Iris persists, observing and recording, but no longer communicates, serving as the sole vestige of a forgotten era.
The Xenox fusion core, the technological backbone of Titan's Wall, was originally developed by Gamatech Industries in collaboration with early Abyss Zone colonial stations. Discovery of a precursor energy node within the region allowed the fusion of Xenox technology with precursor materials, producing a hybrid system that became the most efficient energy source of its time. The core operates via quantum fusion, combining heavy elements under extreme pressure and magnetism to create an almost inexhaustible energy supply. The precursor integration enhances energy density exponentially, with some researchers theorizing the core may extract, quote, interdimensional energy from parallel realities. Together, the Xenox fusion core and precursor luminal reactor formed the technological foundation that enabled Titan's Wall to operate in extreme, uncharted regions. Their integration of human and precursor engineering exemplifies the hybrid nature of the station, combining unparalleled energy output with experimental control over space and time, capabilities that ultimately contextualize the mystery and disappearance known as the vanishing event.